Welcome back, boys. Today we're checking out psychomath, the high levels of thinking and how they make things better sometimes. Let's check it out.
It's time for Psychomath by Homath. In Levels 2, I'm going to explain the higher levels of consciousness and why you should stop focusing on them. But first, a quick review. Relationships are failing. There is a wedge between men and women. Marriage is ending. Countries are disintegrating. And it's all because the people we live with are not grown-ups. Not anymore. Before we get started, if you're here for my normal making fun of TikTok girl videos, I promise more are coming. Those are fun and easy and they make a lot more money, but these long videos are important. I spend weeks and weeks on them because I need to set up an entire library of diagrams like this one, and I will get better at explaining things as I finish them. So this is a levels of thinking video. If you have not seen Levels Basic and Levels 1, those will fill you in on anything you're missing here. But for now, this video is about levels or layers of thinking, how they work, why they matter, why you should not just pretend you're at the high ones, and how the low ones cause problems. In Levels 1, I use this drawing to show how that works. This guy here just does not understand what other people think. That's a low level of thinking. Basically, he wants to smoke in someone else's house, and this guy says no, and they get in a fight, because in this guy's consciousness, it's cool to smoke here because we're not at work or school, so why are you saying no? You must hate me for no reason. You must be dumb or evil or something. But this guy understands that there are two perspectives happening here. And since it's my house, it should be my rules. That is a higher level of thinking because it includes more perspectives. People who are not capable of that are actually dangerous because every time they don't get their way, they think they're being victimized. This is the same thing that's happening right now in politics. We used to expect people to be at level 4 or 5 as adults. That means that you are capable of saying, okay, we think.
Is this the kind of lack of empathy we've been seeing? Like, people just don't care about each other anymore. It's like people don't even care to get to know each other anymore. It's just like you're an enemy, and that's that. I don't need to. I have nothing to learn from you. I have nothing. You have nothing of value. You are not even a human. You know, sometimes in politics, people treat each other like that. And that's crazy. If they're like from the same nation, you know, from the same city, but they don't even see each other as human.
Think different things. We disagree. Let's find a way around this rather than fighting. But today, there's one side in particular that thinks there's only one right way, and basically, we're gonna do whatever we want in your house. That is an alarmingly low level of awareness for that many people to have. That's not normal. That's basically thinking that other people are just things that are there to do what you want and not people with their own thoughts and feelings. And before you start arguing, we know this is true because people on the right can explain the thoughts and feelings of people on the left, but the left cannot do this in return. So
Facts.
even though we're mad at them, we understand what they believe.
Dude, I used to live with like this super liberal chick that all she cared about was politics. But you know, I talked to her a little bit about like people and how they operate, incentives. She just looked at me like I was some kind of retard. like I was the dumb one explaining how people actually were thinking, using a little bit of common sense. I think she had never heard any kind of common sense like argument or like thing, you know. They just dream in their la la land in these universities that produce these cooked people. But I'll let him talk.
And why, and we can see that we just have different opinions. But when we ask them to explain what we believe, they say you're just insane and evil for no reason, and that's just the way it is. That's actually a really good levels test that you can do in real life. If you disagree with someone, ask them to explain what you think and feel and why. And if what they say is, you're just evil and full of hate, you're dealing with someone at an alarmingly low level of thinking. They're basically just doing this to you. Oh, you don't think the way I think? Well, then you don't matter. And
Yeah.
this is what that kind of thinking looks like. These people are celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, who never did anything but speak about his basic American morals. According to these people, that means he deserves to die. He doesn't agree with me, but it's not because he has his own thoughts. It's because he's full of hate for no reason and therefore not people. And it's just not normal for that many adults to be stuck at this level. Most of them were about here. Those people dancing were interested in control and power. They're interested in connecting, but only with people of their own group. They're interested in conforming and belonging, but only to their own group, the one true way. And they're not interested at all in different ways of life and how they work for different people.
Yeah.
So our world was built at about this level, and this new generation is stuck about here. My mission is to teach people how to think and make people more conscious. I do this with my drawings, and I also do this with SelfMax, today's sponsor. I designed SelfMax myself. This is a map of how your mind works, actioning by thinking. I'm thinking clear to connect value. Let it with my videos. You find charts like this. This is the table, and this is the table. You find things on here to put on the table for the world. It comes from men asking women, what do you bring to the table? And a lot of women will say, I am the table, which means only my needs matter. You don't have needs. I just deserve things, and that is just the way it is. There's no other perspective. When too many people are stuck at this level, the place they live becomes undeveloped, unstable, and chaotic because they're all just focused on winning and being on top. So that's what my channel is really all about. I want people to think at higher levels, especially this one. The screeching TikTok girls are a great way to get people to pay attention. Thank you for being what you are, and also stop it. But I really just want people to grow up so we don't lose the world that we built. Because we will, as long as people keep thinking, I deserve, and they don't give back. Grown-ups, providers, build the world by putting in work and getting value back, not from people, but from nature. And deservers destroy the world by just soaking up all that value and giving back little or nothing. So getting people up here is my main focus, and that's why I'm gonna try to rebrand to Psychomath. It's exactly as funny, but now I can expand into psychology, and it doesn't scare the hoes as much. Let me know how you like it in the comments. I'll still make Homath videos, but it'll be like a sub-brand. In case you don't get the joke, Psychomath would be like the math of psychology, or measuring how people think, and it also sounds like psychopath, so I can lean into being a jerk and dunk on my haters. Anyway, this video is about the high levels and why you should not be in love with them. When you introduce people to levels of thinking, you're going to notice that people want to be at the high levels. Some people just assume they're already there. Some people play word games and they go, oh, I accepted something once, so I must be up here. That's called confusing the map with the landscape. That's like the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. Just because you've pointed at the moon doesn't mean you've been there, and just because you've felt these feelings doesn't mean you live at these levels every day. These are signposts, not a checklist. And if you think you've been to the moon just because you pointed at it, you're never gonna actually do the work to get there. So pretending that you're at the higher levels is the best way to never grow up. If you want to grow through the levels, you have to constantly use your conscious mind to ask yourself, what's going on in the rest of my mind? What am I thinking and feeling, and why? That's thinking about thinking. You have to actually listen for your own brain lying to you.
Dude, how many people don't even have this kind of ability that, like, they can't do it? Does that make sense? It's, like, a lot of people, they don't really think like that. They just kind of almost, I don't know, live by instinct or something. It's kind of weird to watch, but it is what it is.
That's what I talked about in PsyOps. The lower levels of your brain will send you messages, and most people just figure out how to believe them instead of questioning them.
Yeah, it's like you want something, you create some argument or whatever to get that, or you kind of rationalize whatever you're feeling, and you kind of give that action an okay, you rationalize that action. But it's not like sometimes people do some crazy stuff.
Some of the more common lies that your brain might tell you include, I'm always the good guy, or I deserve something more than other people, or this fact that makes me uncomfortable must be false. How do I make this false? How do I use words to make this fact look false? You have to be able to catch yourself telling yourself these lies and go, now why would I tell myself that? I will make an entire video on what it's like to move from level to level. It's different for each one, but it is always thinking about thinking. Most people just write a story with the lower parts of their mind, and then they just believe their own story without asking any questions. And that's dangerous because the lower parts of your brain are easier to manipulate. And then anyone who disagrees with it is an insane and evil monster who deserves punishment. At least that's how these levels think. And that's how most people are in the world. Some countries used to be better than that because the people were developed to higher levels on average, but we have fallen. So if you want to be a higher level thinker, you can't just say you're already here because that's what these levels would say. You have to consciously listen to your own story. And then instead of just saying that your story is awesome and being done with it, you have to ask yourself, why is my story different from yours? What am I missing? What are you missing? That's how you absorb all the different perspectives that make you a high-level thinker. So higher level does not mean better at math or better at making money it doesn't mean nicer. There's so many people who think that the higher level you are, the nicer you are until you are the most nicest, and then you give everyone free cookies, and that's not how it works. I'll make a whole video on that too. What it means is thinking about thinking about thinking. This drawing is from an old video where a girl suddenly realizes that her dad tells her to stay away from boys because he knows what they're thinking. So she has a moment where she says, oh, dad tells me that because dad is having thoughts about the thoughts of boys because he knows what they are. So that's a thought about a thought about a thought, thinking about thinking. And that's all happening in her head. I know that dad knows what boys are thinking. So that's first, second, third person perspective, which is about level 5. And this was a young girl, so it felt good to see her getting there. Let's go over this same situation from the bottom. First person would be, I desire something, give it to me right now. And that would be, dad tells me to stay away from boys, so I have to do it when he's not looking. That corresponds with avoiding punishment or self-interest from Kohlberg's stages of development. At second person, there's a right way to do things. That reasoning would look like this. Me and dad and boys all want different things. In other words, we're all struggling for power and control. And so there must be a right way to handle this. Should I listen to dad because he wants what's best for me or because he's in charge? Or should I listen to the TV and do what I want? That would be Kohlberg's good boy stage. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. That's conform, belong, obey, follow rules, choosing a way of life. At third person perspective, your choices are all up to you. Now she understands why dad has rules because he knows what could happen to her. So now she knows what the potential risks are and how much she's willing to take. Now she's a grown-up. So down here, it sounds like dad is saying, you can't have what you want, like he's being controlling. Up here, it sounds like dad is saying, do what I say because it's the way we do things. You have to follow my rules. But up here, at the rational level, at the third layer of thinking about thinking, she finally understands that dad is saying, these are the consequences of your choices. It's up to you. You have to make your own choices and you will be responsible for what happens. This, in my opinion, is the minimum level to be an adult. That's how higher levels of thinking create a better world. Instead of just running out and getting hurt, she can listen to dad and go, oh, gotcha, I'll keep that in mind. What women mostly do today is they just jump into the dating circus and then they hope that they don't get hurt by this situation. And then I made this whole chart to warn them about that. And then they just call me an incel because at a lower level of thinking, they're not thinking about my thoughts about the thoughts of the men they're dating. They just see me as dad, but without.
Dude, how many dudes have this happened to, you know? I've been called an incel before as well. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, really? They said you sound kind of like an incel. But it's like these people, they have a script to follow, and they're you know, they can't yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
Power, so I don't have to do what you say. There are a lot of women who appreciate my work, but they tend to be like this. Now that I'm 60, alone with a string of hooked up with hot guy and it led to nothing in my past, I can't argue with anything you said, so I was easy prey to attention by hot guys who just wanted to get laid. I just don't want women to be 60 and alone with a past like that, and if they think at higher levels, they'll avoid it more often. And that's why higher levels are better, and that's why everyone wants to be there, and I want to help you do that, but you have to go step by step. So I just walked you through the first 5 levels, and in my last video I kind of stopped at level 6. There's a reason for that. First of all, that is where it gets complicated. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't even try to do 7 and 8. This took me 3 days. Second of all, the move from 6 to 7 is a critical point that we are struggling with as a culture. I have seen over and over again people who are stuck at level 6 fantasize that they're at levels 8 and 9 so they can feel like they're cool, and if you do that, you're never going to get there. Okay, here we go. This is where it starts to get weird. This drawing I've been showing you is a thought about a thought about a thought. That's 3 layers. Level 6 is 1 more layer up from there. I drew this to illustrate. Starting from the bottom again, this is the first step. She sees only her own mind. There's things that she likes, and then there are problems. So basically, dad is just getting in the way of what I want. At step 2, now she's understanding that other people's minds have their own things in them. So just like my mind has things in it, their minds have things in them too. At this level, she's just gonna pick which one to conform to. So if dad had a lot of support, if this was like the 1940s, and he had a lot of support from family and church, she would conform to that. But since she's probably getting all her support from TikTok, she's just going to listen to, go with the times and do what you want, so she'll conform to this instead. That's why it says second person here at the conformist level. Because at second person, you can see, oh, other people care about things just like I care about things. So this girl, again, was at third person. That's 1, 2, 3. Let's see what that looks like. She knows that dad knows what the boy thinks. She also knows that the boy knows what dad thinks. Do you see how that's a much more clear picture of what's going on for her? She's not just picking who to listen to. She now knows what their reasons are for wanting her to listen, and one has a good reason and the other one doesn't. Specifically, dad is saying, I remember when I used to chase girls and I didn't always have good intentions, so the boy is probably doing that too, you have to look out. But the boy knows that dad is onto him, and he's just saying, aw, dad doesn't know nothing, you should just do it the cool way. So now instead of just picking the old way of dating, which is boring, or the new way of dating, which is fun and exciting, now she can see the reasons that each guy wants his own different way. That's much more clarity. Clarity increases at every level. Now we're at the 4th step, level 6. There's 4th person, level 6. I know it's confusing that these numbers don't match, but I'll explain in a later video why 1, 2, and 3 are all in 1st person. So 4th person is level 6. What's happening here is she's basically taking this entire thing and running it multiple times in her own mind. So now, not only does she see more clearly what's going on, but she also gets to decide who she wants to be in relationship to what's going on. Do I want to be the good girl who listens to dad, or do I want to go with the times and assume that dad is just insecure and he thinks the boy is a monster because dad just doesn't get it? So at first person, you see the world and you respond to it. At second person, you see a whole world full of people seeing the world and responding to it, and you have to pick how you're going to be to fit in. At third person, you see a whole world of people picking the ways that they're going to be. So instead of just fitting in, you have to decide who you are for yourself. And at fourth person, you see a whole world of people you could be. And that's where that floating feeling comes from. Who am I gonna be? It's up to you. How do I decide? It's up to you. And once again, this is possible because of a thought within a thought within a thought within a thought, or thinking about thinking about thinking. So basically, this square, this empty square, is just the consciousness of an individual being, even like a dog or a mosquito. A mosquito can know that it wants to suck your blood and it would have, I want blood in here. But a mosquito cannot simulate your consciousness. Higher beings can do that. They can go, oh, just like I want stuff, the mosquito wants stuff. It wants to suck my blood. And so here she's simulating, this is what I want. But, oh, dad wants things and boy wants things. And then here she's going, oh, dad knows that boy wants things and boy knows that dad wants things. So it's another layer. And then here is 4 layers. So I want you to notice that the girl could make the same decision, either of these 2 decisions at any level, but the reasoning is very, very different. Over here, I'm going to date the boy because I want to. Over here, it's because TikTok said so. Here, it's because I don't care if that's what the boy wants. I just want to live my life. And over here, it's because I could choose to be a cautious conservative person, or I could choose to play fast and loose, and I'm going to choose fast and loose because I want to live my life. So the more complexity in thinking, the more power you have to choose, and that's when things start to get weird. You might remember this drawing from my first levels video. This is what that level felt like to me. There's so many different ways that I could be, so many different versions of myself, and so many different ways to respond to everything to choose from that I didn't know which one to go with. That's what she would be doing here, looking at all the different potential choices she has for who she wants to be. That's why they call this level the individualist, because when you get the power to choose who you are, people start wanting to be who they are. In other words, how can I be who I want to be if I'm still being a version of myself that other people told me to be? And that's why not only is this level individualistic, but it's also very anti-conformist. They try to break the rules as much as they can because they don't want to be held back by them. Some people take this way too far, but not everybody who does this is at a high level. Some of them are doing it to be individuals. Some of them are conforming to people who did it first. And some people are doing it because no one tells me what to do, like dress like an adult. So again, you can make the same choice at any different level, but the reasoning is what's different. And the reasoning at level 6, 4th person, is just really unstable. So because there are so many different versions of yourself to choose from, and you don't want to just pick one because then you don't get to be all the others, people at this level start to see everyone else in the world as also having many different versions of themselves to choose from. And so if I want to be who I want to be, then I have to let you be who you want to be. And that's why this level values inclusion. That's what they mean by empathy. And that's why their morals are all holding hands under a rainbow. It's also a feminine level. Let's walk through the whole thing again. First person perspective, levels 1, 2, and 3, is I want stuff. I want to get my way. There's only my way. Second person, level 4, is, oh, everyone wants to get their way. We can't just fight over it forever. Let's figure out what the rules are. How are we supposed to behave? Then third person, level 5, is when you go, wait a minute, everybody has their own ideas about what the right way of life is. There's not just one. So my way of life is up to me. And then finally, at fourth person, level 6, there are so many different ways of life that we could choose that we really just have to let people be who they are. And that means understanding everyone and including everyone everywhere all the time and never saying no, which eventually leads to this. And more importantly, it leads to this. This guy wants to be understood and included for being who he is, and so he also wants to understand and include everyone else, even though sometimes, a lot of the time, they don't want to understand or include anything that doesn't conform to their one true way. So they are trying to include people who don't want to include. And now you have a major problem. You're tolerating people who don't tolerate you. So now you see the contradiction. Anybody can be what they want and believe what they want, but only if they agree that everyone can be what they want and believe what they want, and almost nobody does.
So basically, everybody has to play by this rule of level 6, but there's people that are at lower levels and they don't play by the rules. They, they cause trouble, they create friction.
And you also can't make them. You cannot force people to grow. Sometimes they just don't want to. Sometimes they don't have what they need to get there. And also, there are IQ limits on these levels. I don't have the data with me right now. I'll find it later. But I'm pretty sure that being at level 6 puts you in the top 20% of IQ globally. And what you're trying to do is create a world that includes 100% of people in the world, even though 80% of them don't want to include everyone. That's not going to work. That's just the Tower of Babel. If you don't know the Bible story, basically all of the people in the world come together into one place, and then God confuses their language, meaning that they can't talk to each other and they don't get along, and then there's a big disaster. That's what you're doing. And that's why this problem can only be solved by getting everyone we can to move to the next level. I will finish drawing out fifth-person perspective for you at some point, but for now, just imagine taking another step back from this. So again, we have my mind, we have everybody has a mind, so we have to coordinate them, and then everybody's mind is their own, so we all have to be our best selves. And then finally, anyone's mind can be anything. Anyone can be anything, so we have to accept anything that anyone wants to be. Take another step back from that, and you will see the key realization that starts to move you to the higher levels. And that realization is, I am not my mind. This can be difficult for some people, so I will walk you through it. Let's start with, I am not my body. Imagine that I cut off one of my fingers. Am I still me? Do I still exist? Wouldn't I still have all of my memories and my name and my driver's license? I'm still the same person, right? What if I get fat or thin? What if I get old? I'm still me, even though my body has changed. So then I can't really be my body. I'm just kind of operating it. Well, your mind works the same way. Imagine that you could cut off a part of your mind. Like maybe you forget how to cook eggs, or you forget third grade or something. You would still be you, just without that memory, without those thoughts. You would still be a person existing and seeing reality and remembering your name and having a driver's license with the same name, right? What about Alzheimer's disease? Your mind slips away bit by bit, but you don't become a different guy. Think about your body again. When you get hungry, you don't say, I am hunger. You say, I am hungry. Hunger is here now. It'll be gone later. It's not who I am or what I am. It's just happening to me. All of your thoughts are exactly the same. People say things like, I am a libertarian or I am a Star Wars fan, but really, you're just experiencing libertarianism or fanhood in the same way that you experience hunger. It doesn't matter how long you have felt these things, you never become them. Just like if you're hungry every day for years and years, you never become hunger. So your thoughts are the same. They are things that happen to you and you are just along for the ride. And just like at level 6, when you want every part of you to be included, and so your morality becomes about including everyone else. When you get to level 7 and you see your mind happening to you, you also see everyone else's mind happening to them. That's when all of this starts to make sense. I drew this little time spiral here because when you see that your mind is happening to you, you remember your mind happening to you throughout time. You remember, I used to see things this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way. And that's where you get levels. You remember being here, then here, then here, then here, then here. And then you look at everyone around you, and then you see everyone else being here and here and here and sometimes here and not much else. And then you realize that that's not going to change because you remember yourself changing and you see everyone else not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been multiple times, learning where you get like this, you learn a piece of knowledge or you accept the truth that changes you, right? Pretty much like permanently. You gain clarity, right? For what is, right? You stop being so confused and kind of see things for what they are, right? And a lot of people they can't accept that. I see they can't accept the truth because then they too have to change. Then they too have to adapt, and people don't want to do that. They don't want to adapt and change and grow in kind of like this fluid way. They want to stay rigid and kind of be comfortable. It is difficult to for a lot of people to just seek the truth and kind of accept the reality as it is with some of these ideas about society and people, right? It is like the thing is, I am looked at as the bad guy when I say, yeah, we can't just be all at level 6 and hold hands, because the reality is there are lower level people in this example that will attack that. They will destroy that. They will take over and use tactics that you couldn't even imagine. If you're level 6, that is. And yeah, I mean, you just gotta you gotta go up the level and understand kind of human nature, natural law, all of that.
And then you go, oh, shit, we should have paid more attention to who we put together. And then you make a
Yeah.
YouTube channel to warn everyone. So, fifth person perspective is about seeing your own mind, seeing everything that your mind is and wants to do from the outside.
Yeah, and you gotta be careful. I see a lot of people, they read books and they consume a lot of things online, but they have no check. Like kind of like border control, like border control. Like, people just let in all kinds of ideas and ideologies in without checking if they're correct or if they're good for them, right? This is how you get like these people that get tricked by these like Marxists and these like liberal ideas. A lot of them are like anti-human kind of ideas, It's like people don't stop and think. It's like, is this actually beneficial to me or the people around me or my country, society? For me, does it bring me peace? Does it do anything at all? Does it just give me nihilism? Think then out. throw those ideas out. They're garbage. You can learn from a lot of things, but you don't have to take all the garbage. You can listen to very smart people, but they're cooked with like negative ideas and like defeatist ideas, nihilism, all of that. I just don't want to hear that garbage. Like, I just want the truth, And sometimes it can be bitter, but you don't have to be like permanently down. This is what this is kind of the thing that annoys me a lot.
Just like you can say, I'm hungry or I'm tired, you start going, I'm feeling a little libertarian today, maybe it'll pass. And just like your body gets hungry whether you want it to or not, your mind also does things whether you want it to or not. So instead of talking about how people should be, you just go, well, they're not. My mind does this, your mind does that, their minds do this. So maybe we should plan for who people are instead of pretending that we can change them. And then you can start designing the world around your own mind and the minds of other people, and that's where you get integration and harmony. So again, the major difference between level 6 and level 7 is I am not my mind, you are not your mind. Our minds are happening to us just like our bodies, and we have to plan for it better than this. You can't should this into working. Go tell the moon that it should be an owl. It's not going to work. It's still the moon. And people are not going to change either. You're not going to make progress. And a lot of them don't.
Facts. You gotta accept reality. The thing is, some people, you can't change them. You just have to kind of be fluid and go around it. Does that make sense? It's like you expect people to kind of move out of your way. Why not just go past them all? It's quicker and better. You just gotta, like, some people just wanna, they do it the hard way when the easy way is just, um, plan around these things. Think about it. Think about it. Like, you can't have, what was I? Ah, man, I forget.
Don't fit together and you're not going to make them. So to get to the next level, you have to see that the mind is its own thing, just like any other thing, and you have to deal with what it is.
Yeah.
I once had a life coaching session with a guy from a writing group, and he told me that his group was working on the same script for 18 months because every time they finalized it, someone wanted to change something. This guy wanted this script, this guy wanted this script, this guy wanted this script. They could not get 5 guys from the same neighborhood to agree on a movie. They were trying to make every part of everyone fit into one thing, and it destroyed the thing. My solution for him was that in 18 months, you could have all written your own scripts, and you're in charge of this one, and you're in charge of this one, and if you don't like it, that's too bad. This is my script. I'll listen to your ideas, but if I don't like them, we're not doing them. And when we do your script, then you don't have to take my ideas. This problem of insisting that everyone gets included everywhere, I'm calling it everybodyism, and it destroys everything it touches. This is one way of life up here, this is another way here, and when you insist that everything gets included in the same place, it all collapses down to the bottom and turns to mud. So at the lower levels, you're either good or bad, all the way up to level 4. Like Islam says that Islam is good and the gay bar is bad, and that's everywhere in the world all the time forever. And then level 6 says we can get them to live together. We can make Islam be more understanding, and then Islam disagrees. And instead of having both ways of life, it collapses. And then you get only Islam, because that's their one true way. It all falls down. But at level 7, there is a place for the gay bar and there's a place for Islam. It's just not the same place. They don't both go in the same script. And if the Muslims want to live in the gay place, they have to conform. And if the gays want to live in the Muslim place, they have to conform. And level 6 gets very mad at us when we tell them this because they don't understand this yet. They think everybody can be here. So when we tell them everything in its right place, they think that we're talking to them from here. And what we're saying is, America #1, bomb them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, is they look at you like you're some dumbass, but really it's like they kind of just don't get it. And I've kind of given up. Not given up, but it's just I just can't be bothered. If you don't understand that people have different ways of thinking and you're not going to change that, like you can't. It is like asking, like he said, the moon to be a crow, an owl, he said.
So if we can somehow get these people to take this 5th step back, they'll finally move from being this mind that has all these parts, they'll move outside of that and they'll see my mind makes thoughts that look like me because I'm the one thinking them. And then imagine another one of these over here, and then your mind makes thoughts that look like you because you're the one thinking them. And some of us are not as far along as others, and that's why we can't live like this, because it all falls to the bottom. You can't include everything everywhere, not even with 5 people. This is the thing we're doing. You can either fit or leave. We're not changing the thing. And that is everything in its right place. This is my house, that's the place. We don't smoke in here. You can't have both we smoke and we don't. And this is my house, so it's my rules. There are places for that. They're not here. And all of this comes from I am not my mind. Whenever I have a thought, I'm the one who thought it, so it's shaped like me because it comes from me. And your thoughts are shaped like you. The higher levels might not sound like you were expecting. Some people think that it's going to be like a spiritual experience, like I'm sitting on a mountain in a sunbeam and I'm free. And some people think that it means being a better person according to whatever morals they have at this level. Like at this level, if I think racism is bad, then a higher level person must think that racism is really, really super bad, and that's not how it works. Remember, more perspectives equals higher level. A higher level thinker would not just yell their opinion louder. They would say, why do you think the opposite of me, until they understand everyone. You can't be up here if you don't understand even the people who disagree with you. No. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to conform, but you do have to understand. And lower level thinkers cannot do that because they think that listening to someone, understanding them, is the same as agreeing. They say things like this. They go, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this because then I might agree with it. And then I would be bad like you. Then if I listen to you, then this might move over here, and then I would be the bad guy, and I would lose all my belonging points, and I can't have that. So not understanding your enemies and being like this is the best way to stay down here forever. Now, let's move on to level 8. Remember that level 7 starts with, I am not my mind. I see my mind doing all the things it does, just like I feel my body doing the things it does. So once you realize that you are not your mind, because your mind changes over time, you spend a lot of time watching your mind change from the outside, and eventually it just starts happening by itself, and now you're here. So again, just like I feel hungry, but I'm not hunger, you can say, I feel anger at this video I saw, but I'm not anger. The angriness is not me, it's just what happened to my mind just now. And because I can see all of that from the outside, the question is now not just who do I want to be according to the way I see things, but rather, which way of seeing things do I even pick? There would be multiple of these 4s within a big 5 that I'll draw later. That's why these levels are second tier, because down here, there's sort of one way that the world is. And as you move up, you gain more ability to change the way that you see the world or to react to the way that you see the world. But up here, it's like, oh, I have power over the way I even see things. There are many ways the world is, and I can just watch how my mind puts it together and wait and choose a different one. So remember thinking about thinking. These levels would be understanding. Oh, now
Does he have like optimized somewhere? Maybe. I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking of, like or harmonize, I guess, maybe. Basically, it's what I was talking about is people maybe listen to somebody because they're smart, or they're accomplished, and they follow them as a follower, right? They never question what they're being taught, right? I always do that. I can listen to a very, very smart person, but if they try to give me some garbage, that makes me more of a negative person, or just a kind of just a worse person to be around, or if it makes me not like myself more. Does that make sense? Or it makes me like myself less. I mean, you have to understand like how everything fits together. Like this is pretty difficult for me to explain. I don't have any charts or anything to show, but you basically optimize your life with your thinking, right? So you get idea, or you get knowledge or wisdom or whatever, and maybe 80% of it is cool, it's good, it's perfect, it's the truth. Yes, that is what I want. I love the truth. But maybe 20% of that is like some kind of like negative, or some garbage, some kind of ideology or some kind of bias the kind of author or speaker or teacher is giving out, some kind of bias that is not like, hold up, this is not quite reality, this is kind of like your opinion or whatever. I kind of just take the reality. I don't care about like your bias or your opinion, because everybody has it, even me. But the thing is, you don't, some some biases, or biases, is that how you say it? Some quirks you have, you don't even know about them, but you know they exist. Does that make sense? um so you have to be very careful. Invisible there's like invisible landmines, you could say, and you will never know where or how they are. Where are the landmines in your mind? But know that they exist. So you have to be like careful, and make sure you don't bring in more garbage that kind of clouds your mind. You have to have clarity, and I think about balance, clarity. Whatever brings me further away from God, for me, is garbage. I'm gonna be honest. This is why I don't like a lot of these like different like ideologies and stuff that are saying like, oh, we have evolved beyond God. Materialism is the only thing that matters. We just achieve more progress and more material wealth will achieve perfection of some kind. It's like utopia dreaming. I people If you give people like a decent normal society, you give them a shot at reproduction, and you give them a shot at reproduction and a belonging in a community. Like this is what the modern world has done. It has destroyed mm, religion, belief in God, trust between people. Even now politeness is going out the window. People are not, the small things, but they add up. They don't hold the door open for each other anymore. They aren't as polite as they used to be to each other. Like all these different things, and it makes people's lives kind of just worse. And this is what happens when you throw a bunch of people together with their different like ideas. They're always fighting.
Understanding. Oh, now I understand the way I understand, and there are different ways to do that. That's why I'm so good at understanding women, because I get it that there's a whole world of feelings and needs and emotions that matter to them that don't matter to us. They have feelings and thoughts that we don't have. So I just spent a lot of time with them and I said, "Why did you do that?" And they told me and I wrote it down. I have suffered women that you may not. And I can do that because I am not my mind. I am watching it happen. And when I watch my mind happen, I can see other people's minds are happening to them. And I want to know why. I want to understand how they understand. And I also want to
Right.
understand the way that I understand. Let's go back to Steve for this one. At a lower level, 1, 2, and 3, I would look at Steve and go, this guy's a jerk. I don't like him. That's just it. That's the way it is. At a middle level, 4, 5, 6, I would say, well, me and Steve are different people. We see things in different ways, and that's okay, but maybe we just shouldn't hang out. At a higher level, I would be able to look at Steve and think, what is it that's making me judge him this way? What do I not like about him? Is it his hat? Is it the way he talks? Is that he's smoking all the time? What is it? What have I seen and heard that makes me think the way that I think about him? So at level 8, right in the moment, you get to see why your mind wants to do what it wants to do. So let's say I don't like Steve's hat, which is true, I don't. At a lower level, I would say, I know that hat. People who wear that hat are usually jerks, so Steve's probably a jerk. At a higher level, I would say, I am noticing my own belief that this is a jerk hat, and I don't need to engage with it. I don't need to believe in my own belief that this is a hat for jerks. I can wait for new information about Steve and build my perception of him in a different way. And that gives you the power to choose not just who you want to be in relation to Steve, but how you are inventing an idea of Steve. That is called being construct aware. And that literally means that you are aware of the way that you are constructing your own self and your own thoughts. That's why
Facts.
I use the word maximize. Because when you become aware of how you are telling yourself a story, you can let go of it and look at all the different bits of information you have and say, is there a better story I could be telling myself? That's what I'm designing SelfMax to do, to walk you through choosing your own story in the best possible way. I'm not going to talk about level 9 that much because I think I'm not in it that much. I think I might be taking a little step into it sometimes, maybe. Level 9 is 6th person. So this is first person, second person is multiple first persons, third person is multiple second persons, and so on. By the time you get to 6, I'm probably never going to draw that. The reason that I called it complete is because it feels to me like the question is the answer. You might notice that the higher you go on these charts, the harder it is to describe what's happening. This is almost
Yeah.
like poetry. It's hard to be precise.
I mean, I can't even imagine the kind of torture you have to go through to try to explain these kinds of things, you know? I mean, I can't even draw that well, so.
But I'll give it a shot. So, just like at level 8, you're watching your mind put stories together in real time, like you're seeing all the little bits of whatever you're looking at. Like this is Steve's hat, and this is I know that Steve smokes, and this is something nice he said last week, and this is where he went to school. You can see all the little bits of reality, and you can see your
Yeah, exactly. Like you need to, like this is what what I was you know, this is kind of what I want, is just to know reality, you know? You get all the info, you get all the perspectives, what aligns most. Yeah,
mind,
interesting.
building them into a story in real time, and so you can choose how to build that story. You have more options for how you want to tell yourself the story about all the facts that you see. At level 9, you're now watching the choosing. There's that poetry again. It's just kind of unavoidable, at least for me, at least right now. Everything that is brought us to where we are, and it will bring us to what is next. Look at what you see. That is what you have. It's mush. That's why the stereotype of the wise man on the mountain is that he says things that are really obvious, because they are obvious, but you forgot and he didn't. That's why he's the wise man. Like, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Well, of course it does. That's the only way to begin a journey. So how is that useful information? Well, it's useful because you forgot about the first step. You never took it because you were worried about all the steps that are not here yet. So you got lost in the question because you forgot that the question is the answer. So then everything that you're looking for is inside of your own mind already right now, and you find it by thinking about your thinking. Like, what do I want? Why do I want it? Is that a good reason to want it? Well, if it's a good reason, why am I not doing it? Oh, I guess I'm scared of something. What am I scared of? Why am I scared of it? And that's how I don't know what to do becomes the first step on the journey. I want to know what to do. And then how do I find out what to do? I built you a map that leads you through the steps. So you're not there yet, but you are on the way there, which is where you want to be, because that's how you get there. If you want to be there, then being on the way there is where you want to be. Unless you don't want to be on the way there, and then you can be going somewhere else, and then that's where you want to be. Even if you're suffering, if you're having a bad time, you can still be on your way to being done suffering. That's what this is. This is I'm on my way to this being over. That's why the urge at level 9 is accept, surrender, admit, detach, release, let go. It doesn't mean give up and stop trying. It means if you are trying, then that's where you are and that's good enough. I am trying, I accept that I'm trying, and now I'm done. I'm at the part where I'm trying. I believe that's what they mean by living in the moment and the power of now and so on. It's like right now, I want to be done with this video. It's taken me too long. So I am now at the place complete where I will be done with this video. And I'm wondering if people are going to like it. Is it going to be more popular, less popular? And now I'm at the part where I will find out soon. I'm doing everything correctly to get to that part. So I am done. I'm there. I'm on the journey. So it is what it is. Question, answer, journey, first step. I don't know. I hope I'm not getting this one wrong. Maybe one day I'll talk to someone who's been here for a while and they can let me know if I misinterpreted anything or left anything out. But it just feels like a transition. Like I remember moving from here to here really quick when I was 12. It was kind of all of a sudden. And then this was a slow growth through high school. And the first time I ever got here, I was 20 and I decided I wanted to read two opposite political books at the same time. I read an Ann Coulter book and a Michael Moore book back to back just to see what it made my mind do. And that was me challenging my opinions. That was me saying, I am not my opinions. I'm not my mind. I'm not my personality.
Yeah, I mean, it probably, it happens to a lot of people during school, you know? You get all these different people around, different opinions, different ways of looking at things. And, you know, you just kind of want to find the truth, like all this noise. Like, I just want some peace and quiet. And that is the truth, you know? You get that peace of getting reality, you know? Like a lot of people, they just create a bunch of noise, but there is no reality there. There is just like feelings and emotions. You know, they scream out the truth, but the truth is, it doesn't have to do that, you know?
And I remember those transitions, and this just feels like another one that
maybe I'm just maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
that's all. So in my opinion, level 9 feels like the opposite of a kid who's not getting candy at the grocery store. You know how they kick and scream and throw a fit? You have to imagine a kid who is not getting candy and he goes, that's disappointing, I'll sit with it. The world would be better if we could all behave like that, because it changes how you can choose to see things before you act.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just a guy on the internet and I make a lot of dating videos. I know I'm nobody's source of morality, so I will just quote the Dalai Lama. If a mad dog is coming towards you, compassion is no use. What that means is that peace and acceptance and surrender and kindness and all that, it makes you a better person, but the dog is still mad, or the bear. I didn't draw a dog. But I feel like I have to say this because so many people come to me and they say they think that a highly developed person will be nicer, like more high is just more love. This is just a ladder of hugs. But you can't hug the bear into not being a bear. You need bear spray. And you can't should the bear either. Islam should accept the gay bar. Well, they don't, so you're stupid. You should have known that. They told you. When you say they should accept each other, that is the resistance. That's the opposite of this. That's you being the kid in the grocery store, kicking and screaming because you don't get candy. That's you being lost in the journey because you can't see the first step. I want everyone to be nice is
Yeah, I saw people trying to be nice to like leftists that are like cooked, They openly say they want to the death of society, they want to kill you basically if you disagree with them. But they tell you to your face like they want you to die. There is no talking about it. I mean, the guy who did try to talk about it, I mean, he got shot. So, like, that's the thing. People need to accept that. Yeah, as he said, it is what it is. Like, you just have to keep going with that.
just gimme, gimme, gimme. I want the world to be my way right now. It is absurd how much clarity you don't have when you say that. I want things to be different than they are. Well, they're not. Accept it. Once you do, then you will know what to do with much more clarity. And the more that we get people up these levels, the better the world will be. So higher levels are not all magic and joy. You're not going to see a bunch of eyes like an Alex Gray painting. Higher levels are just when you see more and more of what's right in front of you because you are paying attention to the way that you are looking. And the more of it you see, the less you have to kick and scream, and the less you try to should everyone. And the only way to get there is to take the first step that is in front of you right now. And
yeah, facts. The thing is, if you go up those levels, it makes it much more clear what you should do in terms of action. You can think all day, and you can be like super smart. You can be one of these like those TikTok thinkers. I'm so smart and esoteric. Oh my god, hermeticism, psychology. Like, you can be one of those guys, but if all you do is think, but you don't do anything, like in terms of action, for me, it's kind of pointless. You're like a baby. You're not doing anything. Let's check some comments here. Realizing that 90% of the world is level 4 or lower explains a lot of the loneliness intelligent people feel. It hurts to admit that this has shown me how far I have regressed. It takes an incredible amount of wisdom to realize the extent of one's own ignorance. Yeah. Yeah. Describing level 9 is like throwing a rubber ball at the wall. You are level 9 when the ball is touching the wall. You are never there for more than an instant because your mind is always changing. Yeah, interesting stuff. I want to be level -33. What would that make me? A star? I don't know. Anyway, boys, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was very interesting. I want to know if you guys want to see more of something like this. I'm sure there's more stuff like this, So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And I'll catch you boys on the next one. Take care of yourself.